Today, on the season 4 finale of Blissfully Tea Drunk With.
Hi, welcome. My name is Cody. I'm also known as the Oolong Drunk. Welcome to the season 4 finale of Blissfully Tea Drunk With. Alrighty, Ethan. We're ready to start. Alrighty, Ethan. We're ready to start the show. All right. Oh,
Something wrong?
hi. Well,
Hi.
okay. Well, since you asked, I'll just say that sometimes you're doing a great job, by the way. But when recording the show, it's sometimes when we're ready to start the show, and
Sure.
the meaning to talk to you about timing.
Timing, okay. What about timing?
Just sometimes, maybe this is something we need to work on.
Man, you can't say anything about my timing. Look at your timing. Your show's continuity is all over the place. You can't say anything about that.
No, what? We'll just get him back on for season 5, or maybe that bridge is burnt. I don't know. But let's just go ahead and move on with the show. So today, for the season finale, we have a great show lined up for you today. We have David's Tea as our panel. Then we're gonna mosey on over to Yunnan Sourcing. Then after that, we got Paul from White 2 Tea. I just spoken to him, and he's waiting in the waiting room. He's gonna jump on. We're gonna finally talk to him in his first talk show appearance ever. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get the show moving.
Alrighty, so today we have very special guests with us. We have David's Tea. We have Marika and Nadia. And David's Tea does such a fantastic job at being accessible and open to every kind of tea drinker. How does David's Tea manage that? Because I have to say, I've seen people in tea, like, you can't appeal to everybody, but you do appeal to everybody. Like, you did the impossible.
I think that's been part of our DNA since David's Tea opened, since we opened in 2008. It was very important for us to kind of democratize the world of tea or make it really fun and accessible. I remember even now, I sometimes feel intimidated sometimes when I go to tea shops, to very specialty tea shops. Now, not as much, but I remember before I started working in the tea industry, I would feel very intimidated. And I think what we wanted to do was be like, everyone is welcome, just have fun with it. There's each culture, each person has such a different way of preparing tea and enjoying tea, and we kind of embrace all of that.
I think I mean, I don't want to be like sycophantic and be like, Nadia, I totally agree. But I do. And I think to the point of you saying that it's in our DNA, it's very much reflected in the people who work here and the people who work in stores. It's not just about saying that we're for everybody. It's really walking the walk and talking the talk. I mean, just in the tea department, and I'm just counting a very small, well, important but small department here, I think it's like 11 countries are represented through our backgrounds, multiple languages. I've, never felt as accepted as I have been at David's Tea for who I am. And I think intrinsically we know that the more you open up and the less you gatekeep, the more you're going to learn. And nobody can know everything about tea. It's just not possible. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
And so having that kind of discourse, even within our office, allows us to translate that to our customers and to anybody who wants to learn about tea who isn't a customer yet, where it's like, you are accepted for who you are. You are accepted with the tea knowledge you have and where you are in that journey. It's not about, oh, you don't know about the difference between Dansong and Rogue, which is something I was investigating earlier. It's fine. It's fine. Tea is meant to be enjoyed with other humans, and that's it. End of discourse.
It's funny because you mentioned gatekeeping, because I was at a wedding a few months ago, right? Because continuity and the show is important. But a few months ago, I was at a wedding in California, and a woman came up, because I was serving tea for the bride and groom, and a woman came up and she goes, "Oh, you make tea?" And I guess she knew nothing about what I do. And her reaction was like, "Oh, I bet you've never even heard of David's Tea." And it was like, she goes, "Oh, honey, do you even know David's Tea?" And I was like, "Is she gatekeeping David's Tea to me? What?" And she's like, "I have 200 of their teas in my cupboard. I bet you don't even have that many." And I was like, Oh, like
I can see a little.
Lady.
Yeah.
yeah. Sunshine decided she's the host. Like, go.
I as
It
I'm
was
sorry
funny.
I'm sorry you had to go through that, because you don't ever want to have to be confronted with someone who does that. But at the same time, the rhetoric within the tea world for a very long time has been, if you are knowledgeable about tea, this is how you behave. You're supposed to behave like you're somehow above it all. First of all, you're better than coffee drinkers, right? Like, let's just start there. And then, you know so much about this ancient traditional art. I'm not gonna throw this person under the bus, because I feel like it's a rhetoric that you hear all too often in the tea world, and you're not always given the space to be who you are within the tea world. So, here's hoping that her interaction with you would have changed that, and she realized that maybe, that attitude isn't necessary. She can keep it if she wants, live your life. You do you.
I let her have it. I was like, she was empowered. And I was like, speaking of David's Tea, I am friends with a tea developer there for the past 7 years, and I've worked with them like for blog stuff. And I kind of fell into that rabbit hole, and I'm like, well, let me tell you, like, I say the Real House. Next time the Real Housewives is in my area, I'm going to apply for it. I will win it. I will beat them at their game. I can do a backhanded compliment better than them. I'm ready for it.
And sometimes, because I feel a lot of the times when we've been hurt, or people, people say, hurt people, and then you're like, oh, I'm supposed to feel bad for this person. But it's also about like knowing your boundaries and being like, okay, you have to respect, like, I'm obviously here doing something that I love. And I'm surprised that that's a David C. follow, because they would know from following us that we're so like, yeah.
But I have to ask, well, she was really nice. She did fix my pants, because my pants were like 2 sizes too big. So she fixed it. So I was like, I like her after all. But I have to say though, because David's Tea, you did the Garden to Cup collection, and I've gotten it several times from you guys. And one thing it's expected because you guys are really strong in quality, but it was so refreshing to say like, oh, I can enjoy a fruit tea or a rooibos tea, then I can find something more directly sourced and read this fun information on it and appreciate it more. And then go back to a flavored matcha, like the blue matcha that you guys had earlier this year. I love the diversity of David's Tea, because there's not many tea shops that you can go from one end of the spectrum to another, but still be enjoyable across the board.
Yeah, I think that is something that has always been very important for us, because we're such, like Marika was saying, there's so many varied people represented even within one small department, but also many different tastes, and we're cognizant of that, and we want to make sure that whatever we put out is going to be delicious tasting and enjoyable, and made with quality ingredients, regardless if it's garden to cup, so a unique garden source, direct source, or whether it's a blend, like Maui Madness or Blue Magic Matcha. So I think that is something that is very important to us here.
Well, because I know for a lot of generations, especially for like younger boomers and later millennials, they had a place to go to for getting into tea, and it was accessible, and it was Tea Havana. But for a lot of millennials and for a lot of Gen Z, that doesn't exist here, but David's Tea is still here.
Yes.
And you guys, because we have you guys in North America, I would say there's not many tea companies that truly cover a lot of bases like you guys do in that sense.
I think, again, to the point, I made earlier, is we have and what you said is we have a really diverse group of people. So when you have a tea company whose specialization is Chinese teas or Japanese teas, a lot of the times it comes either from contact with travel, being a person of that background.
Right.
Here we have so many people to, question and pull on, and palettes that we can ask, that it's very hard to tell someone from Morocco that their 1,000-year history of blending herbs together to make tea isn't tea. So it really opens up our horizons, and again, comes from that acceptance of people from different backgrounds, because I'm not necessarily going to think about importing a tea from Japan that I've never heard of. But one of my colleagues who's been on the ground or who does know it is going to do that. And so it's that constant input and that constant sharing and that ability to put them kind of all on the same level. You know, just because it's a garden to cup tea doesn't mean it's more important or more serious or more valid than Forever Nuts. That's a ridiculous statement to say.
That's why
Right.
that's why I think diversity and inclusiveness, not only in flavor and in taste, but in backgrounds and in people, it's just so important for any type of company. Like, I know we're talking about tea, but I mean it because we all have such different backgrounds and lived experiences that the more inclusive you are, the more points of view, the more taste, the more flavor, the richer that, now we're talking about tea, but the richer the tea is going to be, but the richer the company as a whole is going to be.
Yeah, and a good cup of tea is just a good moment, and it doesn't matter really if it's good to know what's in it. It's good to know where it comes from, but that feeling, that moment, should not be disqualified because it doesn't come from an area that's been producing tea for 5,000 years. Like, I don't understand why that moment is not appropriate.
Or the rhetoric. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll let you finish. Sorry. I was going to say, but capturing that moment is so important because that's why this is one of the oldest industries in human civilization. It's so special for a reason. It connects with everybody for a very specific reason.
Yeah, and there's so many, what Marika's saying, like, we were recently at the Montreal Tea Festival and we were talking about how fun it is. Like, everyone has their moments with tea. Yeah. For some people, it's such a zen, quiet moment of solitude and reflection. And for others, it's a community event, and it can be messy, and it can be like fun, and there can be like food, and and it really depends on the moment. I think tea, what we were saying is that tea helps create those moments, and a moment that I have with tea can be very different from a moment that maybe you, Cody, have with tea, or maybe they can be similar. I think that's what we need to appreciate. There's no
exactly.
I don't like when people are like, oh, this is the only right way that you can enjoy.
Well, that's like, for what's right for me is not going to be right for someone else. That's why so many people have that argument that I see, like, do you boil green tea or not? Obviously, there's one right answer. No, I'm kidding. But, like everybody brews their tea differently and tastes it and enjoy it differently. It's like, it's not everyone's going to drink the same thing the same way. And different ages and backgrounds, we're all going to have different points in life where we're going to want something or appreciate something different. It doesn't mean it's wrong.
No, and you know how they
not
always
wrong.
say, they always say that tea is the second most consumed beverage on the planet. It's aside from that fact that Nadia and I have debated several times, to me, it's literally the most democratic beverage on the planet because you need access to hot water and leaves. And then after, what you do with it is up to you. It is a choose your own adventure of discovery. And I am not someone who's going to tell someone that their road and their journey and their discovery, and I say me, but I am speaking for the company right now, your journey and your path and your chosen adventure is completely and utterly valid. And anyone who tells you any different, I will give you my email and we'll deal with you at another time.
So don't go on the tea subreddit then. That's all I'm saying as a response.
No, never go on the tea subreddit.
I have to say, you do have the podcast. It's the David's Tea Podcast. And I have to say, you guys have done 2 seasons of it, and it's so entertaining, and I love listening to it. And I have to say, one of my favorite guests, and I have spammed, whoever's behind your Instagram up there knows that I have spammed them about getting more of Kelly on. I was like,
yes. Kelly is one, she's going to hate that I say this. She's going to hate that I say this. Kelly is the head of our R&D department here. She's been with David's Tea for several years. She has one of the finest minds I've ever encountered. And she has an openness and a ability to actively listen to others that is somewhat unparalleled. And so it makes her an amazing conversationalist because she has a lot to share and she says it so eloquently and beautifully. But she really wants everybody to join the tea party. And those two things don't happen very often. I'd say Nadia is another one of those people.
No, I feel the same. And like we were saying, it was really fun, Cody, because we recorded like a podcast episode live in the Montreal Tea Fest, and that was really fun. And Kelly was also there. And I also said this in front of everyone, and I think she hated me for a second. Because also she's extremely humble.
Yes.
But her mind is oh my god. Her mind is just so like to open up the world of tea and in Kelly's mind is just like you just want to swim around it and just stay there. Because she's the way that she views the global tea, and I don't want to say industry, it's like the tea world. Because it's industry, I feel a lot of people are like business. But I when I mean industry, it's like
the soul of
the bloggers, our tea people, the customers, like everything. She has such a deep understanding of the tea community. I'm gonna say tea community.
Tea community, yeah, and it's
especially
it's
so
just
many
amazing
people
to have her
watching.
among us. That's all I'm saying.
I was going to say, so many people in the tea community, especially watching now, know Kelly and have a personal relationship with Kelly. And the amount of people that I've talked to, even on this show, where they're like, oh, like, I know Kelly, and that's like our one person in common. But it's great because Kelly just is so friendly and it's incredible. And wouldn't it be great? We could like shift gears and be like, we're the Kelly team club over here, fan club.
Yes, we should have t-shirts. We're definitely
Team Kelly. We are hashtag Team Kelly for sure.
So I have to say, this has been great, and I love drinking tea, and I love drinking David's tea. I love everything that you guys do, and outside of our Kelly rant, which was phenomenal, it had to happen at some point. I'm glad that you guys got to join on again. This has been great.
Thank you so much for having us, Cody.
It's always a delight. We were really excited that this was on the calendar for today because it's just always so much fun.
Well, until I can get to Canada and have tea with David's tea and an actual David's tea, like that's like it'll happen one day. It's on my list, top of my list.
Wasn't chatting with them great? I love chatting with Nadia and Marika. They're amazing. Alrighty, so next we have Scott from Yunnan Sourcing. They're glad to be on the show. Then after that, we're going to get Paul from White 2 Tea on. I see that he's in the Zoom waiting room waiting to get him on. So let's go ahead and move forward.
So Scott, welcome to the show. I had posted that you were going to be on the show a little bit ago, and my inbox blew up over you. Everyone was just excited and thrilled to hear that you were joining us today. And I must say, for the haters, they couldn't stop you. Nothing is stopping you. You're still here. You're still going strong. So what have you been up to in the past few years? Where have you been?
Oh yeah, I'm going strong. We're still here. We're like in our 18th year, and we're having fun. We have been, the last year has probably been the busiest of my life, and very exciting. We have a 2-month-old son, Shayao and I, and we are just thrilled. So like the last year has been really, really hectic in some senses, but also really, really rewarding. We also moved our warehouse from Oregon to San Marcos, Texas, where it's hot and humid, and starting to we're really, really, really working hard on our US offering and our US website, and that's been really exciting. So we got that all done.
So when people drink tea, it's Texas. It's not Hong Kong humid storage. It's Texas humid storage.
Today, this morning I went into the warehouse and it was 69% RH and it was 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's like that, from about March, probably into about October is when it'll be kind of like the warm and humid season. Although we haven't gotten tons of rain, it's quite humid here. So the
Texas is very humid.
well, where I live is, I mean, the Texas is, huge. I mean, yeah, obviously West Texas is not so humid, but Central Texas is pretty humid. So the tea is I mean, it's really, really nice. And, so like in summer, we were like temperatures of like 95 degrees and, 60% humidity, 65% humidity. So yeah, that when you go in there, it's just
It was
incredibly dramatic.
Well, I can testify to that because I actually was sitting in that spot that you're in and had tea with you in person. And I don't know, I will show a clip. So here's a screenshot of the YouTube video that we did together. And gosh, that's now like 4 or 5 years ago. But like,
Yeah.
I remember walking into your house and your whole house smelled like tea. It smelled like a humidor. And it was the best smelling house I think I've ever walked into.
Well, imagine walking into a warehouse now full of tea. Yeah. And there's, so it's really exciting. It's really exciting. I'm going to be aging tea long term here. 20, 30 years, however long until I'm dead. And then hopefully somebody else will take over. But,
Lucy will take over.
Yeah, Lucy.
But it's funny because
Well,
I dug out. This is actually the shirt I wore when I had tea with you. And I actually dug it out and found it. So I thought I'd wear it for the finale today because you're on the show.
That's wild.
But yeah.
Honestly, I can't remember. I didn't remember what shirt you were wearing, but that's pretty wild. Yeah.
I remember being sort of starstruck. Like if I was meeting Lana Del Rey, for instance, I was like, oh, that's Scott, like he's in the flesh. And then Lucy came up behind you and I was like, oh, like that's Lucy. Oh my God, that's really her. And just had this own mental, like I was mentally falling apart. I was like, that's really them.
I wish Lucy would come, but she's somewhere. She's probably in the sun, lying in the sun in the front yard or something like that.
She's filming. She's holding her camera.
Yeah.
But I have to ask because a lot of people in the Western world might know to a point where the tea culture, especially for pu'er tea, is at. And a lot of people have a frame of reference for Yunnan Sourcing. But what a lot of people over the past 10 years who now go to Yunnan Sourcing and they create their doom carts, and trust me, because everyone who goes to your website ends up having like a $400 shopping cart. Because like it starts out as like 2 samples in a piece of teaware, then like 8 cakes later in a shopping cart. There it is. But a lot of people don't know that you don't only start out on eBay, but you're one of the biggest drivers for there to be pu'er tea culture in America. And it's all because of your passion project into tea back in 2004.
Yeah, 2004. Yeah, we started on eBay. I started with, I went to Bank of China in Kunming and I got a credit card advance. Like it was something like 3 or 4% that they charged me. And I went out and I bought a shelf and I bought a digital camera. And that was basically it. Like I just, was close to the tea market. And I was just blown away by the amount of variety of teas that they had, pu'er teas especially. And excuse me. And yeah, I mean, I looked online back then in 2004 and early 2000. I mean, there was almost nothing. There were so few options. Like there were like a couple of websites that sold like mini, camels. They called them camel's breath, mini tuocha. I don't know where that term came from. I think it's a poor translation of tuocha, because camel is luotuo. So maybe that's where it came from. But yeah.
Do you remember the specific day that you launched your eBay website?
I don't.
Or your eBay shop? But
I really don't have a good like memory in that sense. I do remember the first time that I came back to the house with like I used to have a basket carrier. It had straps and it was, imagine like a basket it's like this big and it's like really big and goes on my back. I used to ride my bike to the tea market and I would buy teas. I'd buy like 1 of this or 2 of that and I'd put them in my basket carrier and come home and put them on. I actually used the basket carrier because it was made out of bamboo. I put it
Right.
as a backdrop, and that's where I take my pictures that I put on eBay.
And
So-
that quickly moved and transitioned into YunnanSourcing.com. And did you ever imagine, because Yunnan Sourcing had its first website, but then it got revamped once or twice, and especially, was it 3 or 4 years ago, it had a larger overhaul in design and catalog.
We moved over to Shopify, I guess. Has that been 4 or 5 years now? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually the US site, I don't know if you've noticed, but we just upgraded the US website theme to Shopify 2.0. And we have an entirely new theme there with like multiple, so you can, it's just, you know, you can sort by multiple filters. It's way better. So actually we're working on the .com site right now. Probably within about a month or two, we'll launch the new theme version. Check out the US site right now, and you'll see what the .com site can look like.
I do say,
yeah.
I like ordering from the .com because you can't have a true tea experience without having to wait 6 weeks in the mail. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we don't actually offer a shipping method to the US that takes 6 weeks anymore. All of it is DHL and YS Express. So YS Express usually takes 2 weeks, and DHL usually takes 1 week. We don't offer anything other than that now.
Because like China Post, they really screwed up over COVID. So many vendors, so many people lost much tea in packages, and even now that stuff's not back the way it is. Like I ordered a couple of tea cakes from a different place back in May, and back in May it's still making its way to here. And God, like I can't believe it's almost November.
We don't use China Post. You know,
good.
A lot of people say don't get angry,
for...
get even. Don't get angry, get even. And of course, I was really angry when China Post lost like more than 1,000 of our packages back in 2020. Right. But instead of, you know, I picked myself up, dusted myself off, and I called DHL and got good rates through them. They're pretty expensive, but they deliver typically to the US within a week. And so our YS Express shipping is basically, we take a bunch of .com orders and we consolidate into larger orders and we ship them here to Texas, and then we repackage them. So that actually works out, especially for like, if you want to order like 100 grams of tea or anything under about 2.5 kilograms, it's cheaper to send YS Express, but it takes an extra week because it gets here usually after 5 to 7 days, and then we ship it out USPS or UPS from here. So we have no China Post coming to the US anymore. We do not. We work with China Post only very little now, only to like certain countries where DHL is either too expensive or not really a good option. So, right.
But like a lot of people don't know this.
So I'm thrilled.
But for context for the audience, at least, around when COVID hit, May 19th was the infamous day where tracking stops across dozens of tea companies for hundreds of packages, and these tea packages just went missing, and hundreds. And I've even talked to other tea companies, and one of them told me thousands. One of them told me that it took 1 quarter's worth of income from their business, and to replace all of those packages, it took another quarter's worth of business to replace them. So for 1 whole year, they were ended up being negative for 2 of their quarters, and it almost tanked them.
Yeah,
because no one knows what happened.
It was a massive financial loss for us. But more than that, I think it was just, the problem was that they kept telling us to wait. China Post said, wait, we're going to sort it out. We'll da-da-da-da-da. So then, you know, I sent an email to all of my customers and I said, please wait. We're gonna solve this. We've been told that things are gonna come in. So then, you know, of course that never happened. And then, you know, I've asked people to wait. And of course, you know, that puts me in a situation where I basically, you know, people are saying, oh, you're a liar and all this stuff. And it's like, well, all I can do is communicate what I've been told. I don't own China Post. I don't
Right.
I don't have a 747. I can't go over there and fly all the packages over here. So, but I think that was the worst part. The worst part was to deal with that level of customers that are upset, customers that didn't get their things, the refund process, the adjustment of all the stuff. I mean, it was the amount of time and energy and negativity that it created for me. I mean, I will say the good thing that came out of it is that I went back to my roots and really started doing meditation and breathing exercises again to relax, because that was the only way I could actually get myself to relax enough to fall asleep at night for a period of several months. And so that I mean, it was a horrible.
Well,
I mean, it was a horrible experience.
But then you came out good.
Definitely,
But you still came out. Yeah, but you still came out strong, because even now, when Stephen Colbert does his Tea Tuesday segment, it's not infrequent, and it's a very regular thing that he'll be drinking a Yunnan Sourcing tea on his segment. So you went. I have one more question before we go here, because we're low on time. If you did the Scott back in the email days, if you were to tell him that you'd be one of the largest PR vendors in the Western world, and talk show hosts and celebrities would be drinking your tea 18 years into the future, what would that Scott say about how you've made it through everything? I mean, you've managed to make it through a pandemic, through the China Post air and losing all those packages. You made it through the Reddit BS and the Scott Bot drama, which is rooted in a bunch of boredom and people who need to get a life. And now you're out here and you're out here and your business is doing incredible, and you've made it to the other side of all this, still going strong. Like, nothing's going to stop you. Like, what would the older version of Scott, if you were to see you now and how you've just gone through everything and came out stronger on the other end, what would he say about the journey?
I think I would say to myself, my past self, if I could go back in time and just say, take a, like really just enjoy it, because I tend to worry and obsess about things. Whereas what I really need to do is just focus and enjoy. Because, I mean, the enjoyable parts of running this business are so numerous and wonderful. And the positivity from some people is incredible. And so I would just say, just keep focused on the things that you love, and the people that care about you, and the people that you care about, and the customers that support you, and don't sweat in everything else, because everything else is not something that you need to worry about, and that's basically what I would say, and buy more old tea. Buy more old tea in 2004. Of course, I didn't have any money in 2004. I don't have any money to buy that tea, but have confidence too, like in the tea, and always, like put your trust in the tea, and keep and I feel like I did, but it's hard, especially in the beginning, because I was like, when I started to like resell the tea, and I just kept reinvesting all of my money back into the tea, and I was thinking to myself, gosh, I hope that this works out.
Right.
So that's what I would say,
This has been incredible, and just based on my inbox, you have an audience of people waiting for your YouTube series to come back. Like, they're eager. You have an audience waiting for you. I know when stuff's crazy, but when stuff can even out, you're going to have an audience and a base who's going to give you a big warm welcome. And I'm glad you're on the show today. It's great for having you for the finale. This is amazing.
Thanks for having me, Cody. It's good to reconnect with you. And I'm excited. I'm excited to do videos again. We've kind of been through the last year, and we got all the things done that we needed to do. So yeah, I think Cheryl and I are going to be back at it, and Lucy, and our little tiger baby Ethan. So yeah, definitely be watching for that. We're going to get one dropping soon, I hope.
Well, you heard it here first. And Yeah, I'm glad you're on. And now that we've had tea, and this is the end of the season, we're going to move on. We're going to check the P.O. box one more time and do our last segment of fan mail for the season 4 finale. Alrighty, thank you, Scott, for joining.
Alrighty, now we've reached the fan mail segment of the show. So before we get White 2T on, we're going to open some of your fan mail for the last fan mail segment of the season. Alrighty, so I was actually given this bin by the post office because y'all sent so much. I was given several boxes. All were joke things, and now we're going to read some of the mail itself. And let's go ahead and get through this. Alrighty, we have one letter. This comes from Ashley, and Ashley writes, "Dear Cody, I have enjoyed watching your show, so I've included a Chick-fil-A gift card because of the gay thing. I find it hilarious that now you'd have to go eat at a Chick-fil-A." You know what? This is free dinner. I got a free meal out of this. Thank you for making sure I don't go hungry tonight. Alrighty, next. I have a letter from a George. He says, "Dear Cody, I really enjoy watching the show, but wanted to inform you that after watching several episodes that you suffer from main character complex." Of course I'm the main character. This is my talk show. I'm the host. Of course I'm the main character. Main character complex? What? What am I supposed to do? Just sit here? Thank you for acknowledging that I'm doing my job on the show correctly. Very nice of you. Thank you. Okay. And here we got another, damn it, it's another birthday card. "Dear Cody, I saw it was your birthday and I missed it this year. Happy birthday." Yes, because y'all keep insisting it's my birthday. Yes, y'all keep insisting it's my birthday, so we're going with it. Thank you for insisting my birthday. Alrighty, so we're going to keep... Oh, we have a letter, handwritten letter. And this comes from Noah. "Dear Cody, I have watched your show and have read your blog for quite some time. I understand that you are a fan of Lana Del Rey and realize that it has been your mission for quite some time to have tea with Lana Del Rey." It is. I've been on this mission for years now. She's my favorite. "However, I wanted to say that after a while, the obsession is kind of creepy and that you really need to stop. You need to stop with the parasocial relationship and accept that you're never going to have tea with Lana Del Rey. It's not going to happen." It's not going to happen. No tea with Lana? All the fan mail was going so well before this point. Why did he have to be so mean? Know what? I'm gonna have to tell Paul that he's gonna have to come back another time for the talk show. I gotta leave. I can't be here right now. I ran away to the edge of the country to get away from that goddamn fan mail. I decided that if Nicole Kidman could have an existential crisis at this bridge in Big Little Lies, then so can I. But I didn't know where I was going, and to find out what was going to be next for me, I decided to go all the way back to the very beginning. Hello everyone, my name's Cody and I am the Oolong Drunk, and today we're gonna try and do our own little version today of having tea with other people, kind of in a similar talk show format, so to speak, like Graham Norton. Not long after, I found my own voice. I found my footing. 2.5 minutes to do our best job at painting a cat face. Are y'all ready?
Okay.
Alrighty. 3, 2... We'll make sure you can see this. 3, 2, 1, go. Here's the reveal. I came out of my shell more, and I became more confident. So, speaking of choking, Danielle, before we hang up here, are we ready to give our kill brew?
I wasn't getting the association at first. Yeah, I just poured it out.
Hello?
Let's go out.
Hold on, I'm on the other line with Gretchen. Oh my god, she is so annoying.
I know, right? Just get rid of her.
Then I had a second season.
Tea closet, the tea closet. I have a list of thoughts, tea confessionals that our tea drinkers may be in denial for. You can finally admit, guys, that when you made this photo from Tea for Me, Please, her most liked photo on Instagram, it wasn't because tea is good.
I had to wear the shirt today
It's because green is so her color. Over here is I couldn't resist. I have a McDonald's McGriddle.
Oh no!
What was a McGriddle? I thought I would do the work for Dio's Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
That's the word. The more that I was being myself, the more that I found that I actually enjoyed being myself. This show that I initially started because I didn't want to have tea alone anymore was going well. I got to have tea with my friends and invited an audience to join us so they wouldn't have to be alone as well.
Air corcha, then a whole rotisserie chicken.
It was for me and for all of us.
Boy, that is a harsh recipe.
Roxanne over here.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the sexiest tea hour in all of tea. This is sexy tea time, where the bath and the tea stay hot. Get out of the way!
Not only was I being myself, I was enjoying my time with everyone else as well.
These are real life reviews of tea shops from other Karens, and I'm going to read some of them for you today because I can't have just been the only one to have bad customer service. My daughter Kaylee is out there playing. I see her about to run in the street, and I don't believe in parenting my own kids because that's what the internet's for. But her iPad's in there charging. Kaylee, dear, Kaylee, get off the street. Hey, Kaylee. It's like the Wayans Brothers White Chicks, I swear.
After being in fight and flight mode for so much of my life, I was actually enjoying just being.
And then over here, we have a tea cake of hype by White 2 Tea. So we're gonna brew this entire tea cake of hype by White 2 Tea here live on the show.
This was my playpen, and this was showing you a version of myself that doesn't exist very often. However, I used the entertainment aspect of the show to mask from what I was hiding from. I wasn't vulnerable on the show, and in a sense, some of it was a facade. Then, I finally decided to open up.
I survived my own suicide attempt, and yet I was being punished in life for it. And the Trevor Project also estimated that every 45 seconds, at least one member of the LGBT youth between the ages of 13 and 24 attempts suicide. Every 45 seconds.
For the season 2 finale, I raised several $1,000s with the help of over several hundred people across the tea community for the Trevor Project. And by sharing my story, I found a way to heal, not with just myself, but people who are also watching the show, with other people in the tea community as well.
And this is for every person who has survived a suicide attempt and had to rebuild every aspect of their life because being their self was not good enough. No one and not one child should have to feel like taking their own life is the better option in life because they are who they are and they love who they love.
After that, I took a short break and the party continued.
For the season 2 finale, I wanted to celebrate.
However, the togetherness only lasted as long as my camera was filming. And when it stopped, I was alone again. I even tried to depict my loneliness in the season 3 trailer. I was still facing the consequences of taking my life years after the fact. I was still alone and still isolated. So I started meeting my tea friends in person. Started meeting and spending time with the people that truly made my life happy. I found more excuses to be away from home, to leave home, to have that distraction. I was now fully focused on going after what I really wanted in life, not just talking about it, but actually doing it. That hole in my heart was starting to become filled more and more. I was actually meeting some of the friends that I've had for years in person for the very first time, but I was still on the go. I still needed that distraction, because I knew once when the adventure was over, I'd have to face being stuck in this phase in life and would not know how to get back out of it. Don't get me wrong, I have made enemies since starting my journey, and it's not all been rose-colored glasses. But I decided that the best way moving forward is to move forward with forgiveness, kindness, with open arms, and an open heart. For someone like me who has no association with their actual family, they get to choose their family. And this is who I chose to be my family. People that I could create memories with. People that I cared about, but people that cared about me back. People who truly knew what it meant to be in the moment with each other, to enjoy each other, just because we are who we are. No judgment, with acceptance, open arms, and love. The T family is my actual family. I even got to meet some of the greatest people I've ever met in my entire journey, not just in tea. Because of sharing a cup of tea, I got to watch my best friend get married to one of the coolest people I had ever met in my entire life. And thanks to these two incredible people, I got to experience a brand new kind of happiness. But the adventure had to end. The well was running dry, and I couldn't run away forever. I did have to return back to my own life. Nothing gold can truly stay. I had to rebuild my life once and still face the consequences of what I did on that unfortunate day. But it launched me into meeting some of the most incredible people I have ever met. And it's some of these people that hold a piece of my heart with them. They remind me that home is where the heart is. Now that the adventure is over and I'm reminded that I am stuck in a limbo for where I want to be in life, hundreds and hundreds of miles away from anyone that I truly care about, I know that I will have the strength to wake up the next morning and continue on the next day. Because somewhere out there in the world, these people are out there. They exist.